Hi there, it's the Great Griff, Adam Griffith here. This series of short talks is going to be about some of the findings I've made through the research I conducted for my undergrad dissertation topic. For my paper, I chose to focus mainly on a document written by Oliver Cromwell's private secretary, John Sadler, who was keen on helping reimagine a new post-monarchical British identity in his paper Rights of the Kingdom, which was published in 1649, which is the same year that King Charles I was executed. England, or rather the British Isles, were embroiled in a revolutionary civil war fought between parliamentarians and the royalists. The conflict can be characterised as a wrestling match for the future direction of Britain's constitutional nature, which naturally brought the identity of the peoples of Britain into question. Sadler's document is based on the ancient understanding of British history, also known as the Brutes of England or the Cambrian history, the reputation of which he expresses had suffered due to the machinations of the Anglo-Norman establishment, which was backed by the Roman Catholic Church, otherwise known as the Norman Yoke. Sadler also mentions that he is writing this document in protest against the Anglo-Norman naysayers of British history such as Gerald of Wales, as well as the proposers of a new history such as William Camden, which illustrates an inception point for the contemporary understanding of British history. The Norman yoke is a term coined by parliamentarians in the English Civil War to illustrate and specify a historical enemy of the common peoples of this island who had suffered under a harsh feudal tyranny, of which 17th century monarchy was a remnant of. This was a popular and motivational idea for parliamentarians. Sadler was keen to emphasise Trojan, Greek, and Israelite rights, laws, and customs in Britain to show the genealogical connections between Britain and these Levantine cultures, in order to depict the British people as the natural inheritors of both the Greek world and the Judeo-Christian come Israelite worlds, which would help Sadler ethically legitimise the execution of Charles I through the thematic comparison between the execution of Charles I with that of Moses delivering the Israelites from the Pharaoh, coupled with the notion of the inheritance of Greek democracy. Sadler substantiates these claims by citing a list of customs, laws, rights, and other cultural artifacts which link Britain to the Levant. He mentions the Druidic alphabet, i.e. Colburn, which he said was brought to Britain by the Phoenicians. Trojan landlords in Wales, early British Christianity, and their proximity to Jewish ecclesiastics, and many more topics of interest for those in the Britain's hidden history sphere, all of which I will unpack in later episodes, along with showing how I highlighted the academic debates associated with these relics, whilst arguing against the established view of them. Sadler's pamphlet also stresses a Romano-British commerce rather than a Roman dominance in Britain, and goes on to say that it was this cultural crossover which produced Helen and Constantine, alluding to the fact that the Britons have an illustrious and fervorous royal inheritance. It is arguable that Sadler's interest in the ancient historical narrative of Britain could resemble something of an interest in a people and their history that have been alienated by the dominant societal powers within the British Isles, namely the monarchy and the Catholic Church, who are both common foes of the Puritans of the English Civil War as well as the Jews. And this leads me on to another document which I had studied called The Hope of Israel, written by Rabbi Israel ben Manasseh, who belonged to the Jewish communities residing in Amsterdam after being expelled from the Iberian Peninsula during the Spanish Inquisition. Israel and his party was simultaneously looking for new residents, whilst trying to locate the whereabouts of the lost tribes of Israel, as a precondition for the apocalypse. Israel believed that Britain would be one place where the lost tribes could be found. He even stated that the French word for England, being Angleterre, translated to the end of the world, referring to England's role in the apocalypse, in the eyes of the rabbi. Israel bin Manasseh was also convinced by his colleague Manuel Martinez Domingo that one of the tribes resided in America. It was alleged by Domingo that he encountered a tribe in South America which were able to recite the Jewish Shema, hope I've got that right, to him confirming their Israelite origins. This coincided with the British inquiry into the origins of the American Indians conducted by Puritans in New England, led by clergyman John Eliot, who claimed that the American Indians also conducted Jewish rites. These are but a couple of examples of the ideological syncretism between Jewish Puritans and Israel ben Manasseh and his party. The corresponding Puritan interest in Jewish mysticism and theology in England and Rabbi Israel ben Manasseh's missionary intent to locate the lost tribes of Israel resulted in the correspondence between both parties, which led not only to the tacit readmission of the Jews into England, but also the inception of a Hebraist college in London. This was initiated with the aim of assisting the ecclesiastical correspondence between Jews and British Protestant Judaizers. This collaboration contributed to the matter of the Jewish question during a special conference at Whitehall in December 1655, which bore witness to the permission by consensus of the tacit readmission of the Jews back into England for the first time since their expulsion by Edward I in 1290. Manasseh's The Hope of Israel was the document which incepted the discussion. The document emphasised the mistreatment of both Jews and Welsh within Britain by the Plantagenet King Edward I. The document also discusses an ancient Jewish prophecy of Jewish settlements in all corners of the world before the coming of the Messiah. This prophecy was met with a good amount of theological syncretism within Puritan belief that the conversion of the Jews to Christianity would be a necessary precondition for the second coming of Christ. In short, then, the British millenarian Protestants were looking to integrate Jews into the English Republic, whilst Israel ben Manasseh and his party were keen to gain access to the lost tribes of Israel through Britain and subsequently America. And I hope that this short intro has given you a taste for what's to come. Please don't forget to subscribe for the upcoming episodes.